Hello, this is Shellee Howard with Parents Is Your Teen College Ready? And I'm so excited to share this episode with you. I'd like to welcome Emiko Patterson. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm so grateful to be here.
All right. So, parents, you will want to listen to what Emiko is going to share. But before we dive into that, Emiko, can you please tell our listeners a little bit about you and what it is that you do?
Yeah, so I work for Untapped Learning. We are a company that's based out of Boulder, and we help students develop executive function skills when they get to college. So I work with several students who are in college now, but I'm also directing our larger program, and we've worked with school or students at over 100 schools in the United States and even some abroad. And we've seen hundreds of students come in and out of our program who just struggle with transitioning into college, whether it's they're struggling with a learning disability like ADHD, or they're just anxious, or they have high ambitions. We help them build these executive function skills to help them succeed not only just in their classes, but also in life and independently as they step into this new chapter of adulthood. So that's what I do at Untapped is I help all the college kids who come to us get paired with coaches. And then I also work with a handful of students myself as they navigate all of their courses in college life.
Oh my gosh, there's so many great questions I have for you, and I'm sure the listeners do as well. The first one is, when you were in high school, did you have any idea you would be doing the job you're doing now?
Absolutely not, which is so funny and so peculiar. Even in college, I didn't really know my path and my direction. I graduated in 2020, so in the midst of COVID and everything. I graduated college in 2020. So when I left college, I was kind of relieved because I was like, well, at least the world shut down. I didn't have a plan anyways. But I found Untapped because our founder, Brandon Slade, was a professor or a teacher at my middle school, and he left our middle school to start this amazing organization. And I was like, you know what, that's just really aligned with what brings me joy, what brings me fulfillment. And if it's just part-time, I would love to work with them for a little bit as we were navigating that craziness of 2020. And after I got there, I was like, this is an amazing company. I saw the vision when I started back in 2020. I think there was only like 20 students in our college program, and now we're working with over 100 students all across the country. So to be a part of that growth has been truly special, and it's a mission that I really believe in and one that I hope we can help even more students down the road. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
It's so important. I lead with that because these students, these high schoolers are being asked what major, what career when they're 14, 15, 16, 17, sometimes 18. And yet, I've only had maybe two guests out of the hundreds that are actually doing what they thought they would be doing. So I find that very fascinating. Now, let's talk a little bit about executive functioning. That is like some fancy word. Can you just help us understand at a third grade level, what exactly does that mean?
Yeah, so the way I explain it to our families and our students is executive function skills help us get stuff done. So when we say executive function, it's this larger umbrella term for skills like planning, task initiation, time management, basically all of those skills that help us avoid procrastination and reach our goals. So it's so simple, and they're very important to do well in school, but also to be an adult and to be independent, which is why we like to teach these skills, especially in college. And this is where I find a lot of joy in working with my coaching, is to help these students thrive in school so they can thrive in their college lives and start applying to jobs and succeed in those and just feel more confident.
Wow. Okay. So if I'm a parent, well, I am a parent of four, obviously,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
as a parent listening who still have middle school and high schoolers at home, when would I know that I should reach out and contact you? When is procrastination more than a normal procrastination? When is, all of the functioning skills? When should I really be concerned as a parent where I need to reach out?
Yeah, that's a really good question because we all procrastinate, and I think having some grace with ourselves, knowing that that's just a human thing that we all do. I would say if your student is struggling to a point where it's affecting their grades or affecting your relationship, it's a great time for an additional third party person to come in and help support. So if a student's just unable to turn in things on time, putting everything off to the last minute and it's affecting the quality of work that they're putting into school, I think that's a great time to so reach out for support. And then yes, if it's something where parents you're trying to tell your kids like you need to build your time management skills, you need to plan it out and they're just not listening to you, that's a great time for us to step in too, because our mentors play this unique role of not being a parent figure, but not being a peer. And students are just more willing to listen to their mentors rather than their parents. Um, so I would say, yeah, if it's really affecting their grades and their performance in school, it's a great time to reach out for support.
Okay, so parents, if you have multiple children, I'm sure one of yours fit into that category. Having two boys and two girls, I can honestly say that that would have been a wonderful gift for two of them. The other two were very self-starters, self-motivated, didn't have any problems with that. So, can you give an example of like how you do it? Like, what does that look like? You hop on a Zoom call, I'm guessing. And what would it look like if you were going to help my child in this area?
Yeah, so our program is very individualized. So we would start the program by doing an informal intake, and this gives us a chance to understand your student better, kind of hear things from their perspective, and really try to start pinpointing a few areas where we can help them start succeeding. And what we really want to do is focus on the lead domino, which is going to be like, what's the one thing that's going to help them in several areas of their life. For our college students, a lot of that is sleep routines, and a lot of that's just structuring time. So we work with students. We like to split the week up into two quicker meetings. So one at the beginning of the week and then one towards the end of the week. The one at the beginning of the week is when we'll go through all of their syllabi, go through all of their other commitments and responsibilities that they have going on that week, and then building it out into a weekly plan. So when we do this, it's a lot more executive function skills than just planning. We are taking all of their tasks and organizing them in a way where one day is not too overwhelming. We're looking at their daily routines, deciding when you're going to do your homework, what you're going to do, how you're going to get it done. Um, so that helps with the task initiation and then talking about time management. So, how long is this one assignment going to take you, talking through that. And then lastly, yeah, breaking down the bigger project. So we help them plan ahead too. And taking a bigger project or a big test coming up and breaking it down into action steps that are more manageable, which is a big executive function skill that I think a lot of our college students are struggling with now is those big picture projects. Um, that's a lot. That's a lot to do in 30 minutes, but our mentors are amazing and they get it done. And of course, the student is participating in that process. They know their classes best, they know their assignments best, they know their schedule best. So mentors and students collaborate to make that weekly plan. And then later in the week, this is where the accountability comes in. So that's something too where executive function skills, we can tell them all the best practices. I'm sure parents you already have, but then it's the follow through that is the most important. So that's why we have another touch point at the end of the week. And that's where we just make sure that they're staying up to date, getting things done, making progress on the bigger picture things. And then with that additional time is where we can spend a more specific or spend more time doing deeper dives on specific problems that they're having. So we know every student is unique and every student has their own challenges. And when I work with my students, I frame it as what's overwhelming you the most this week and how can we work together to try to tackle that or try to even complete it right now. Um, and then again, like that one thing might just be the lead domino to help them feel more prepared for the rest of the week.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking, College Ready, we help so many students from, a 2.8 GPA up to a 5.0 GPA, from a perfect test score to no test score. And what I can say after doing this 17 years is it has to be done uniquely. So that is awesome to hear.
Mhm.
And there are some students who are very teachable and receptive, and there are some students who are not as teachable and not as receptive. So if I'm a parent and I'm weighing this out, and I'd be thinking heavily about this because if my student's not turning in their assignments, if they're not showing up prepared to class, if they're not showing up to class, if they're doing things because they're not seeing the benefit of doing the right thing, how do you help those students? Or maybe is it just a case of you can't help them?
I would say that for our program, it's the relationship piece that they build with their mentor that makes a big difference. Again, I've heard from almost every parent I talk to is like, "Oh, I'm telling them to do this. Like I have tried to tell them to manage their time. I've tried to tell them to start studying for their test early." But when it's coming from parents, the students will just put up a wall and not want to do it even more than they already don't want to do it. So our program, when mentors and students work together, our job is to build that relationship so we can help hold them accountable more. And also, I think another big part of that too is coaching them the why. The why are we
Mhm.
studying early? Why are we planning this out? And what it really all comes down to is building more freedom for students and reducing overwhelm, building confidence. Like that's why we build our executive function skills, not just to get better grades. And when a mentor's saying that, I think it's more received or it's better received from the student.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I find that as well. Interesting enough, we touch on the executive function skills like follow up. We let them
Mhm.
pick their deadline and their due date for when something is due. And that way they are only accountable to them. It's not another adult saying you have to do this thing. And I've realized that helps a lot. So parents, if you're listening, you might want to take that little tidbit and instead of telling them it must be done by now, say, so when will you have this done? I found that that little piece is super helpful. But where I'm most curious, or where I think your company is genius at, is getting them to open up and receive. And I thought that's why I wanted to have you on the podcast because sometimes we know what needs to be done as parents, there's no doubt.
Mhm.
Sometimes we continue to battle it, and then we also tell them to do their chores, do their homework, da 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 da. I used to tell my children, you know, that I'm doing this for their own good, and they're like, "There's nothing good about this." Like, so I so remember walking in those shoes. My fourth child is actually graduating college in June, And she was the one who had so many questions about why. Why do I have to do this? Why do I have to do
Hmm.
it this way? Do you have proof that you can show that kind of student that buying into what you're saying is actually proven to help them? Is there any for that left brain child who needs to see the proof that it works and that it's going to be in their benefit to change?
Yeah, I don't know if I have specific proof to show you right now, but I think absolutely. It's when we that's why we coach the why, is because, like you said, like if we're just barking instructions at them or telling them more things that they need to do, it's gonna overwhelm them and it's gonna make them shut down even more. It's gonna hurt the relationship. So having them or having explained to you why this is important is really, really helpful for getting them to follow through. And I think a big part of that too is having them self-reflect. So that's what we guide students through a lot as well, is how did it feel when you waited until the last moment to do this assignment? How did it feel when you started this assignment early and you got it done a day early? And talking them through that. So it's not just, okay, I did that and we're moving on to the next thing. We really want them to start to learn how they learn best and start to be more self aware, be more intentional with what they're doing and how they're doing it, especially in college when they get more free time. There's just less structured time throughout their day and they have more choice and they have more agency to do things. Like that's when we really like to take the self-reflection and being like, how does it feel when we're following through? How does it feel when we feel more disciplined? And more times out of not, they're going to say it feels so good. It feels so much better to have that thing done. It feels so much better that I just got over that hump and was able to complete it. And I think just from asking questions about how they're feeling about certain things that they're doing can start that self-reflection and start to build those skills, and students will start to believe it.
Okay, so it's getting their buy-in for the why. I love it. So
Mhm.
parents, I hope you heard that all we have to do is explain the why and they're going to just buy into it and it's so exciting. But
Hopefully.
I know with my own children that I actually paid somebody to tell them what I was going to tell them about planning for college. So sometimes if you get tired of fighting with them, just hiring somebody who can really specialize and help them will open them up to it not being a battle, but actually a village to help raise them and support them. So I love what you all do. So if a family was looking to reach out to you, how might they do that?
Yes, there's a couple of ways. I can just give you my email and we can you can share it with the families that you're working with, the families that reach out maybe to you after this podcast. I can just share you my direct email. If you want to learn more about Untapped, we also have middle school programs, high school programs, and college programs. So if you just want to learn more, our website is untappedlearning.com and we have a contact form on that, and that'll take you straight to um, that'll take you straight to me or somebody else who can help better. So since I do the college stuff, if it's a college student, you'll get me. If it's a middle or high schooler, you'll get um, one of my coworkers who's also amazing.
Love it. So, parents, if you have a middle schooler who you can already see the writing on the wall that this is going to be a challenge, high school is going to be hard and college is going to be harder. So, I often tell the story of test prep. When my firstborn was wanting to test prep, he said, Mom, just buy me the book. I'll do it on my own. Don't spend that silly money. And I'm like, oh, all right. If I don't have to spend the money, that sounds great. And when he got his test back, he's like devastated. I'm so stupid. Here's a kid with a 4.6 GPA. I'm so stupid. I'm like, I don't think it's that you're stupid. Let's get you some support. And so this time, got him support, and he increased his SAT by 300 points, which got him into 7 top-tier schools and going to Harvard. So help and support are key to this process. So thank you, Miko. Thank you so much for being on the show. And parents, until next time, we are so excited for you to listen and receive the support you need. It takes a village. Thank you.
Thank you.